Hello and welcome to another edition of the Stew with JT Brew, NHL Around the Ice with JT and Toast. Tonight we're going to talk a little gambling action, see if we can win you some money, and then we're also going to jump into fantasy playoff pickups. Who is going to win your league? What guys you need to be going after, and what teams have the nice schedules? Which ones have the bad ones? Stick with us here. You're in the Stew. Toast, my co-host, thanks for joining me tonight, talking a little NHL hockey. Before we get into the best pickups, who to target for your fantasy hockey leagues, let's jump into some bets action. We were on quite a roll the last couple weeks. We were hitting at about a 90% clip. And then, man, the last week, it got real ugly and it got real ugly quick, but it was all together. Let's just clear the board on those losses. Let's talk about the turn. We're going to start getting back in the winning action. Let's talk about some games coming up tonight and the rest of this week. We got a few on the board tonight. What do you like?
Before we get into the picks, JT, I'll say that I feel like I'm back. So last night I depleted my account to probably 75% of what it actually had started with, and I
Ouch.
got it all back in one night. Won everything. So let's keep the
Bam.
momentum going tonight. It's going to be great. I do tonight. My best play of the night is really the Capitals actually visiting the Oilers. The Capitals I equate them to the Blues, but I can't even do that anymore because here they are. Blues are actually winning versus the Kings 2-0. JT, I'm just going to say it right now. The Blues are good, I guess. I don't know. I still don't believe they think they're any good, but I guess they're good because they win a lot and they beat good teams, but they shouldn't be any good. Okay. But Capitals actually at the Oilers tonight. Um, this should be an easy Oiler win. Okay. So tonight, um, McDavid will probably go for over 2 points. That's been pretty constant. I went back and looked at what he's done versus the Capitals, and man, he's doubling up in his career versus the Capitals. He's doubled up on points in the relation to a matter of games played. And so you got to be on McDavid tonight. 2 points are at home. I'm also going Oilers money line as well. They're minus 305 right now, pretty heavy favorite. Stuart Skinner being goal tonight. He's been pretty darn good all year. And the Oilers at home, you know how they are, man. You get them on the power play as well. They're a juggernaut. And then the over 2.5 team goals. That's kind of a given. If they're going to win, they're going to score over 2.5 goals. You know that. I mean, they're not going to win this 2-1 game. Now that I just said that, they'll end up winning 2-1. But
Just
that
because
that
you said it.
yeah. But it's plus 102. It's even money. To me, that's easy money. Right now, McDavid is on a 2 point streak. I think he's got 13 2 point games in his last 15 games. And you got to think at home, that percentage goes up tenfold. I mean, so love the Oilers tonight. There again, that's Oilers money line. Oilers over 2.5 team goals scored, and McDavid 2 points. That is a plus 102 jump on it. What do you like, JT?
Yeah, so a game that's already underway that I got in earlier. If you got on the jumped on a Total Apex Sports Bets, that's where you'll see a lot of our bets we put out. One of them I jumped on earlier was the under 6 in the Blues Kings game. I also took Braden Shen and Jordan Kyrou, both under half a point. 0 points for them. I did not think the Blues would put up a lot of points. I thought this would be a low scoring game. Both those guys have been ice, ice cold of late. And so I jumped on that. As far as I'm going to look it up real quick,
You're doing
Toast, to
good,
see where I'm
JT.
at.
You're winning
So far,
that.
I'm doing good. So far, I'm winning that one. So those guys have both been ice cold. So that was one I was on earlier. I love what you said about the Oilers game. That was one of my favorite bets. And then later on tonight, I got a little crazy. So we like to do toast takes. Toast takes is like our favorite bets, the ones we like, the ones we think are winners, are absolute winners. I like to throw out the JT parlay of the day. Anyone who follows that knows it's a crazy bet. This is a Hail Mary. I'm shooting from half court on this one, hoping I hit one. I always want to go big odds. Almost every time I do these, they're plus 1,000 bet. I think this Vancouver Canucks Colorado Avalanche game, it's got guys that are leading the league in points all over the place.
Yeah.
All over the place. So I jumped in here. You can read the article, jump in there for why I like all these guys. A lot of these guys are like in the top 5 in assists. But I jumped in. I took Nathan McKinnon over 4.5 shots. He's hit this almost
Every night.
consistently throughout the year. I think he's number 1 or number 2 in the entire. I think he's number 2 in the entire league in shot attempts. So I took the over 4.5. Quinn Hughes over half a assist, so he just needs one. Hale McCarr just needs an assist.
Hmm.
I took JT Miller at an assist, and I take Nathan McKinnon at an assist. I took all
Yep.
these guys just needing an assist. All these guys, every single one of them are in the top 5 in the league in assists. So I just love it. I put it out there right now. That 5 pick parlay on DraftKings is plus 1,100. The game starts here in about an hour, I think. So that's one if you want to get on a late one.
Yeah.
I love that one. You could tail it that way. I also think you could go if you want to. You didn't want to go too crazy. You don't want to go plus 1,100. I like the McKinnon over assists, McKinnon over points, and then if you want to throw in one of the Vancouver guys, say a Quinn Hughes over an assist, I like that as well. If you want to bring it down a notch, maybe be in the 200 range, that's a good one as well. I know Toast, me and you threw a crazy one together with Elias Pettersson with a goal. I did that one in an all goals parlay that I put together later tonight. But those are some of the ones we like right now. Anything else you like for these late games? Anybody that wants to get in these 9 o'clock Central Time, 10 o'clock East Coast time games?
Yeah, I love the Avalanche Canucks game. One thing that kind of worries me about that, and again, just being cautious anyway, that's two really good teams. I would imagine they're going to be playing out like a playoff game, playoff hockey right there. Don't be surprised if the under 6.5 goes. But that doesn't mean your assist bet won't go. I could just see it actually going to the under 6.5. I could see that being pretty tight. But Demko's actually out. He's out 2 to 4 weeks, which really sucks for me considering I actually have him in our home league. Just playoffs. We're in the semis right now, and Demko's out. So I got my top goalie out. But
Yeah,
Casey,
no big deal, right? No
yeah,
big deal.
exactly.
Just
Yeah, just next
whatever,
man up,
whatever.
I guess. But Casey DeSmith's actually being in goal. He's serviceable, right? I mean, but he's no Demko. So I do kind of like the Avs in that regards. I will say, just because I was researching this earlier today, and I won some money on the Avs last night as well. Mikko Rantanen's actually have an assist in 13 straight games. 13. So I mean,
He was the one guy that was in that top group that I didn't put in this bet, and I almost wanted to, but I was like, "Am I pushing it with 6 different
yeah,
guys
yeah.
with assists in this bet?" So I do like Reddit. So that's another one. If you want to get in a bet right now, I like McKinnon over 4.5 shots. McKinnon, I think you could go over points. I think he's at 1.5. He was actually at plus money, I think, today at one
Yes,
and a half points, and then you could get Redden at over a half assist. I like that as a little
those
nice
three.
three pick
Yes.
parlay if you want to jump in that. That's a nice little move as well. I like that, Toast.
Yeah, that's going to be great. I love that a ton. I'm probably when the podcast gets done here, I'm going to go ahead and just jump the gun and do that, especially now that
You put it
got,
in, I'm gonna tail it in the group. I'll tail
yeah,
it as soon as you put it in.
yep. We'll get on that, and I'll tell you again, as I mentioned before in a couple podcasts, and we'll kind of get to some of our fantasy hockey playoff streamers we like. The formula is not it's not anything like rocket science. I'm going. I'm really following teams that are either hosting the Ducks, they're hosting the Coyotes, and they may even be hosting um, the Capitals. Um, it doesn't matter who it is. If those teams are on the road and you got a pretty decent team actually hosting them, I'm always going that team over 2.5 shots. I'm always actually going their best player with an assist,
You mean
and
you
I'm
mean
then
two and a
actually
half
going them on the
goals,
money line
Toast?
as well. So it's
Sorry to jump in real quick. You mean over 2.5 goals as a team?
yeah, I'm
Not two
sorry.
and a half
Over
shots.
yeah,
Yeah.
my over 2.5 team goals. I'm getting their best player for an assist, and then I'm getting them on the money line. You can usually get it around plus 120, anywhere to plus 200. So, for example, last night, you actually have the Coyotes. All right, Arizona Coyotes. I'm looking at it right here, going into the Wild. And the Wild's been actually pretty darn good lately. They've been really, really hot, one of the best teams in the league. You take the Wild on the money line, you take Kaprizov for an assist, and you end up getting the Wild over 2.5 team goals. It went when I placed that one, I was like, okay, there's a 95% certainty this is going to hit. Just again, you know how it goes in hockey. Any given night, something can happen where it surprises you, and it doesn't. But that was about as good as gold right there. And that's kind of how this game is tonight with the Oilers. The only thing I will say is the Capitals like to play a little bit of a slow down game, but man, the Capitals, they're not very good. All right. And we'll get into a couple of their players here in a bit. So I
Mm.
love the Oilers in this spot. And the only reason I took McDavid at over 1.5 points instead of an assist is the fact that I couldn't get the plus 100. It was only minus 130 to get him the assist, get Oilers money line, and then get the Oilers over 2.5 goals. So you go ahead and go with the points. It's fine. But loving that formula. It's working great right now. You got to be pretty disciplined, which I'm not at times. But if I was just disciplined, I'd be doing really, really good right now, JT.
And what we've done is like Toast, you said with that strategy lately, is we've done those individual takes and then we've thrown a couple together in same game parlay X's where we'll take the assists, the goal or assistant point, and then take two of them in one game and match them with a two in another game to kind of pump
Yes.
up that plus. So if you're looking to add a little money value to it, we've done that a few times in the last couple of weeks where we'll take a same game parlay, we'll take, say an Austin Matthews with a goal, we'll take a Mitch Marner with an
Yes.
assist, and then we'll match that with like a McDavid over 1.5 points and Leah Draisaitl with assist or Hyman
Hmm.
with a goal. And so we've kind of been jumping on those lately. And that's a way to take these things that are like pretty bad odds, when you're looking at like minus 260, minus 200, where you can kind of add those together and get some pretty nice odds in a parlay. So that's something to look at too. Also, to remind people tonight, a lot of times you got to have ESPN Plus to watch all these games. Oilers Capitals games actually on TNT tonight.
Yep.
So that's wild. 9 o'clock Central start for us here in Illinois. 9 o'clock Central start. Uh, nice little late night game. And if
JT,
you
you
know
like the late
us,
night games,
we
don't you?
we love the late night games. The West Coast hockey is my favorite. I don't
Yes.
know how many times we've been in drafts and you're like, man, why do you have all this West? I'm like, I want the West Coast guys on my hockey team because I want to
Yeah.
watch those guys late night when I get out of work and I can get home and watch those games. So I love the West Coast stuff. I'm big West Coast hockey, West Coast football, West Coast basketball. I love to watch that stuff when I get off work. So
And real
the little,
quick,
little bit of betting stuff. Yeah, Toast,
I'm gonna
right
go
ahead.
one more thing here. There's a game on Saturday that I want everybody to go ahead and just circle on the schedule. And that's the Battle of Florida. So the Lightning are actually visiting the Panthers. The Lightning are in a spiral. All right, their run's done. They're going to be probably a playoff team this year, but they're struggling. They're limping. You can tell right now, limping to the finish line. Kucherov is he's cooled off for Kucherov. Let's just put it that way. He's worked his way out of the Hart Trophy discussion, and it's definitely, in my opinion, a two-horse race right now. It's McKinnon's to lose, and you got McDavid there, and I think they'll both actually beat out Matthews. Um, so it's a two-dog race here. I think right now McDavid's a plus 450. He's the only play. McKinnon's minus 150 for that one. But I love the Panthers at home versus the Lightning. The Lightning are giving up a ton of goals of late, lots of shots on goal as well. The Panthers are the best team in hockey right now, and so I'm liking that Saturday, 5 o'clock p.m. Central Time matchup. It's on ESPN Plus. I liked Matthew Tkachuk with an assist. I like the Panthers on the money line, and I like the Panthers over 2.5 goals. Again, that's the formula. It works. It works. Don't overcomplicate it. You can probably get that at plus 150, plus 175, and you get aggressive with it. And those are the ones you got to hit. So circle that one on the calendar. Saturday the 16th at 5 o'clock. That's the game of the day for me.
Yeah, love it. Love that. So, Toast, we're going to move on to most people are here for the gambling. I don't know. We're always here for the gambling, but let's move
Yeah.
on to
Why are we
fantasy
even doing
hockey.
this segment? Yeah.
Let's get into some fantasy hockey action. For most leagues, it is playoff time. We're in the playoffs. So let's spend some time telling, all the listeners out there, what are some of the favorable matchups, looking at the schedule, who has got more games, who has less games, what are some nice streamer pickups. You're looking to get those few extra plays every week that kind of can make the difference in a close playoff matchup. Let's go through some of these ones and see like who are the guys can help you make a deep, deep playoff run and hopefully win your hockey league. And then you can add us saying, thank you, JT Brew Stew, for helping us help me win my league. So that's what we want to do here. So Toast, let's get in here. Let's start things off. Let's look at best team schedules
Hmm.
for this fantasy hockey playoff run. First
Yeah.
off,
So
let's talk
let's.
about Carolina. Carolina, I think they were on top of your list as I looked at her. She let's
Mhm.
let's talk about Carolina, why you love Carolina's schedule.
Yeah. So with all these teams, let's do this, JT. Let's start with tomorrow night's games and go through the rest of this week and all of next week and just look at those schedules, right? So a lot of these leagues, I know that a lot of the leagues I'm in, the matchups go 2 weeks at a time. So your semifinals may be 2 weeks or the quarters, whatever they may be, but they're going to go 2 weeks. Most fantasy leagues that are worth their salt anyway, they're not going to do just 1 week of playoffs, all right? Because that really doesn't actually have the best team have a chance or really determine who's the best team, right? I mean, you really need more than just a week. So we're going to go 2 weeks. So Carolina, a great schedule, probably the best schedule out of any team in the NHL the rest of this week and all of next week. They play Thursday, Saturday, Sunday this week. And then next week they have Tuesday, Thursday, but then they have the Friday, Sunday, those off days. So that's 7 games in the next week and a half. That's a great schedule. The best streamer I see is Evgeny Kuznetsov. He was actually picked up from Washington. He ended up being, I think, the highest paid AHL player ever when they actually sent him to the AHL. I think he makes like $9.2 million a season. But Carolina picks him up. He clears waivers. Carolina actually picks him up. He's on line 2, but he's on power play 1. All right. So he's going to be on line 2 between Jake Gensel, the new guy over there in Carolina after the trade with Michael Bunting, and also Martin Necas. So that's a great line 2. And he gets to play on power play 1 with guys like Svechnikov and Sebastian Aho. This is a great opportunity for Kuznetsov. All right. So I would go ahead and pick him up. He's not going to shoot the puck much. He doesn't do that. He's going to be on the assist. I would imagine they're going to limit his ice time. They're not going to be giving him 20 minutes a game. It's probably going to be more like 14 or 15 minutes a game, but worth a streamer, man. He's an old but proven commodity. And again, this is really just a straight deployment pickup, JT. Nothing more than that. So go out there and get Kuznetsov for your playoff run.
Yeah, and sometimes all it takes, you just want to get extra plays. Sometimes when it's playoffs, that's all it comes down to is the extra plays. Toast, we've been playing in leagues for a ton of years. That's my biggest problem with hockey and basketball is getting the extra plays. Football, I'm like, hey, I love my team. I know who I'm getting. I know
It's
I'm
different. Yeah.
getting those extra plays. You got to be on top of that to get those extra plays. It can be a little bit cumbersome sometimes, but doing it in the playoffs is a it can be the complete difference between a win and a loss. If you get a guy who gets you 2 extra games and he scores a point and a half to 3 points a game, that can win you the week.
Yep. It's all about the pickups here. So most leagues will actually do anywhere from 5 to 7 pickups a week in hockey, and some maybe 4, whatever, 4 to 7. But if you're in the playoffs, you better use all of your pickups. You better maximize every single move, and if you're not going to win. Or if you do, you're going to be lucky. So this is what we're doing right now. We're actually helping you find those guys. They got good opportunities that are actually low rostered but also to have sweet schedules sitting behind them here, and that's why we're doing this. And again, JT, you said it. We're making people actually win their fantasy hockey playoffs. I'm thinking they should actually do something for us, like smash the like button.
I love it. Like, subscribe, give us comments, give us feedback. We'd love to see that stuff. Stuff you want to hear us talk about in future shows. Let us know on that because we want to hear what you want to hear. We want to talk about what you want to hear. So next team on the list I've got is New Jersey, a team that's been up and down. Me and you
Hmm.
loved them at the beginning of the season. We're like, this is a playoff team. This team is a sneaky good team, and the goaltending absolutely failed them. Everything's been just a disaster there this year. What do you like about New Jersey the last couple weeks here for fantasy playoffs?
Other than their schedule, not much. They have a great schedule. They got a Thursday, Saturday, Sunday this week, and they have a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday next week. So they got 7 matchups as well. Even though all of those matchups actually fall on heavy nights, except the Sunday on the second week. So you may be looking for a defenseman. You may end up just be looking for a streamer to actually fill in for an injured player, which again, I got plenty of them. As soon as the playoffs actually started, Joel Eriksson Ek is actually out 3 or 4 games. Mitch Marner's out a couple games, and also Patrick Dempko's out a couple games as well. I'm like, these guys were healthy as horses until now. So, the best streamer on New Jersey has got to be Eric Holla. So he gets a line two power play two deployment. The best thing for him is the fact that he's not a great player because he's not, but it's the fact that he's playing between Hughes and Brad. He's only 25% rostered. You're going to find him in most leagues there. Monday night, I went back and looked at the stat sheet, man. He had 6 shots on goal, and he actually played 22 and a half minutes of ice time as well. And that was actually in a game that actually went regulation. So just something to look at. I like Eric Holla if you're looking, especially not just this week, but also next week to try to maximize. He's got great deployment.
And so it's like you said, this is the time of year when guys you've been relying on all season to get you there. That's when you start seeing the injury bug. It never
Yep.
fails. Guys start getting hurt, kills your
Yeah. Thanks a
team.
lot. Yeah.
So yeah, I know. So you just need any advantage you can get at this point. So I like where your head's at there. A team that we've talked about a decent amount, a team that you liked as as kind of a sneaky play to possibly get to the Stanley Cup Finals and win it, the New York Islanders.
I just hope they make the playoffs. Man, if they make the playoffs, they're going to be dangerous. I'm telling you right now, they're going to.
They have playoff style hockey. That's who they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. I think I said a couple podcasts ago that we know they can defend. We know they actually have good goaltending as well. And I've been joking with everybody. It's a fact that it's a positive that they've been giving up a lot of shots on goal. That just means they've loosened their game up a little bit. Like
Mhm.
it's almost good for a team like that. But they got another again Tuesday, Saturday, Sunday the rest of this week, and next week Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. Again, none of those prime days, those off days. But again, it's 7 games, and if you got room to fit them in, go ahead. But I like Kyle Palmieri, and reason being is because you're gonna find him only 33% rostered in most leagues. He's got 20 goals, 19 assists on the season in 60 games. All right, so 40 points in 60 games roughly. But I love the fact that he plays on power play, one with Horvat and Barzal. Brock Nelson, who's been real hot lately. I think he's got close to 30 goals now, and then Noah Dobson as well. That's a great power play. So the upside for him, and you can get him out there. He's out there. Go get Kyle Palmieri. The deployment's amazing. The schedule's amazing.
Yeah, then let's talk about Ottawa. They're the last team kind of on your best schedule list as far as this coming up. Another team that's been highly disappointing this year. We had a lot of Ottawa Center players on our team, expecting this team to be a lot more high powered than they were. They've they had their moments where you're like, this is who this team should be, but it's just not consistent. What do you think about their schedule coming down the stretch?
Their schedule here in the next week and a half is also 7 games. Again, it's Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. Then next week, the Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. Shane Pinto, he may be a little bit harder to grab. All right, so 62% rostered on Fantrax right now. But Pinto could go under the radar a little bit, and mainly just the fact that everybody's just kind of giving up on Ottawa. Josh Norris is hurt; he's out for the season. I'm surprised, surprised. He's always hurt. What a talent he is, though. He's such a good player, but man, he's always injured. I love the fact that Pinto is on line one, and he's between Chucky and also Batherson. He's averaging around 18 minutes a night on ice. But here's what I love, JT. He's got 18 points in the last 21 games, and it kind of quiet. I think it's somewhere around 6 goals, but 12 assists in the last 18 points in 21 games. But Pinto's not the guy who is like the household name there, but nevertheless, a super good player. If I remember right, I believe I don't want to misspeak here. I think he was one of the players that was in the World Juniors Canada investigation. I'm pretty sure it was him or Bathurst. I can't remember which one, but nevertheless, it makes no difference at all. It's 62% rostered. I would say go ahead and get Pinto if you can. You might be able to actually get him in the most shallow of leagues. I'm talking 10 team leagues. If you're in a 13 or 14, 18 team league, you're not going to get him. He's not going to be out there. But great deployment for Pinto.
So, Toast, let's jump into kind of your average schedules, your middle of the road. Say you can't get those guys that are in that really nice schedule. There's a few teams on this next set. Who do you like, and what are some of the players you want to jump in and possibly take if you miss out on those top end ones?
Well, you know what I love about Anaheim right now, JT, is the fact that they just got shit pumped by the Hawks last night. That's what I like. Okay, so 7-2. I mean, the Hawks just took it to Anaheim. I just had to put that in there. All right, that was awesome because we just been getting whipped by everybody this year, and we ran up the score on them a little bit. We almost had a goalie fight last night. It was awesome. So Anaheim this week, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. All right, Tuesday, Thursday, then Sunday. So 6 games. All right, 6 games. Best streamer, I think Alex Killorn is worth a look right now. He's with Mason McTavish. McTavish just came back from injury. He's been out a while. And he's also on power play one with the likes of like Frank Vetrano as well. And I love the fact that he's only 29% rostered. He scored a goal, and going into last night, it had been 4 straight. He did not score last night, but he's got goals in 5 out of his last 7 games, and he's averaging a ton of ice time right now, especially with the injuries they've actually had. So I like Killorn. You might as well give him a look, especially in those deeper leagues where you're actually 14, 18 teams.
Yeah, I always feel like Kalorn is one of those guys that people kind of forget about him. We had him on a couple fantasy teams, and he was a nice low end guy on our team. He got us some points. He didn't cost a ton of money. He's kind of sneaky. People kind of forget about him. He's a little bit older guy, so I like that pick as well.
Yeah, in JT, I really liked obviously Corn being on Tampa Bay, won a couple cups with them. I mean, he was a really, really good player and a good contract with them as well. We had him on a fantasy roster. People crap on Killorn right now because of his contract. Well, it wasn't his fault that Anaheim actually gave way too much money for him. But the term's not all that long. I think it's 4 years or whatnot. But Anaheim's probably thinking we need a veteran presence in here. We're going to be well underneath the cap. We're actually developing young players. So who cares? I mean, yes, is he not tradable? Probably not, but I don't think actually Anaheim actually has any intentions of trading him. They actually had him there for a reason, was actually set an example for the young guys because they're littered with young talent and actually be there for the entire contract there. So he's doing that. So right now I think it's worth the pick up, 29% roster. Go ahead and do it.
I do. A team that's been not great this year, but you have on an average schedule list here.
Yeah.
So I gotta know why you want anyone to pick up someone from the Columbus Blue Jackets. Tell me why it's worth it.
Well, it's not worth it anymore. And here's what I'll say. It was worth it when I was writing this article yesterday morning, but it's not worth it now. And because Columbus is a dumpster fire on Tuesday, Saturday, Sunday scheduled this week, Tuesday, Friday, which is nice, Saturday scheduled next week. And I thought the best streamer was actually Igor Chinikov. Well, he left last night's game injured. Okay, but he was actually playing on line one with Boone Jenner and Johnny Gaudreau. He was actually playing on the all Russian line, the Russian young line there on the second line, and which I really, really like as well. And Chinnikov's a guy that we actually have on our dynasty roster as well, JT. Up and comer. I think he's only 22 or 23, which is super young for a Russian player actually coming over. All right. He's only 28% rostered. Um, he would only be a pickup in the deepest of leagues. All right. But now that he's actually hurt, I'm just saying, you know what? Let's just go ahead and punt Columbus to the moon. We don't actually need to even consider Columbus. They're pretty bad.
Ignore Columbus, people. Ignore Columbus.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
heard it here from Toast. So now we're going to talk about my team, the Detroit Red Wings. Wow.
We got to talk about them.
Dylan Larkin, the injury has made a huge impact. This team has not looked even remotely close to the team that they were with Dylan Larkin there. They haven't even been in games lately. They've been getting worked. It's a little frustrating for a team that is right on the edge of making the playoffs for this first time in a decade. I we talked about we thought they were a playoff team. I've been like they're a playoff team they're in, and now I'm getting real nervous. Who do you like in this group if you're in their fantasy playoffs?
Yeah, Larkin better come back soon because you're right, man. As soon as he went down, they've been in a tailspin, and this has been a really good team all season, and they look lost without their captain. And I saw on Twitter yesterday that they had a team fight in practice. There's that as well. I mean, just complete meltdown. Guys are actually getting frustrated as well. But the guy actually filling in for him is JT Comfer, the ex-Av, and he's on line one, power play two. I mean, you gotta love his deployment there with the Brinket and Kane. Due to the Larkin injury. Now, what I will say is Larkin, you got to think that he's going to be back. They said 1 to 2 weeks. This is week one, so and they got to think they're probably begging him like, dude, you got to get back. This is crunch time right now. We got 17,
As
18 games right
soon
now.
as possible. As soon
Yes.
as
Yep.
possible, get back.
Yep. The Conference got 3 goals, 2 assists in his last 10 games. Again, it's all about deployment. It's worth a stab right now. I would go ahead and pick him up if you can. If you have room for him, you're actually looking for somebody. He's going to get a lot of ice time. He's going to get 20 minutes of ice time a night. They play Thursday, Saturday, Sunday this week. They play Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday next week. I would hope that Larkin would actually come back the Thursday and Saturday of next week. But for the next 4 games, if you actually have a pickup and you actually want to get a guy with a good deployment, go out there and get Comfer. Again, look at who he's playing with, the Brinket and Kane. I mean, you don't get a whole lot better than that.
Our buddy Mike says Columbus is like the Titanic. They look good until they hit the ice, which is very true, Mike. That the Blue Jackets have been pretty horrible of late.
I want to say
So
that JT, we really appreciate Mike. He's
absolutely, thanks for
yeah,
jumping in here.
yeah, he's probably our most loyal listener. I really don't this Mike guy. I don't really know where he's from. He's specifically just, who knows? He could live up in Fargo or up in Alaska for all I know, and he's actually in 3 months of all night, and he has nothing else better to do but actually listen to our podcast. But we sure do love him.
That we do. Moving on to the next team, a team that we talked about our midway through the season show. A team I kind of was all over was the New York Rangers. I really liked what they were doing. I thought they were maybe my favorite out of the East to win the cup. What do you think about Rangers? Who on that roster? Obviously, most of those guys are rostered. Who can you possibly pick up from the Rangers to kind of maximize down the stretch here in your playoff run?
Yeah, I'm not going to say he's any good because I don't really think he's that good. He's had some moments there in Columbus when he was there previously, but Jack Roslovic is
I
getting.
remember that guy. Didn't
Yeah,
he used to be on our team? He used to
well,
be on our team.
JT, we still actually have him. I have every intention on our
I know.
dynasty league
I
of cutting his
pretend like
ass.
he's not
Yeah,
on our team. I pretend like he's not
yeah.
on our team. That's why I'm joking.
But with him actually getting traded to the Rangers, so I was pumped for our
It
dynasty
helps
league,
him.
especially if we're in the playoffs. Like, hey, look at his deployment. Line one with Kreider and Zibanejad, only 25% rostered. He's been shooting a ton. He's got 8 points in his last 10 games as well. Most of that actually was not with the Rangers, but he came over on a trade March 8th, still trying to find his footing over in New York. But again, the deployment's there. I mean, he's worth a stab right now. Come playoff times, you're going to see maybe the cupboard's a little bare, right? When you're actually on the waiver wire or for free agents as well. So Roslovic would be as good as any of these guys I'm talking about as a pickup, just based on his deployment alone. And he's got 6 games starting tomorrow. 6 games over the next 2 weeks. So Roslovic, again, I'm not saying he's a good player, but he's serviceable.
Talk about the Pittsburgh Penguins, a team that's been a little
They're
disappointing.
awful.
They thought they had another run in them. They got real old, real quick. Gunsel got traded. Is there any bright spot? Not for the Penguins, but for a player that you could feel like could fill in for you and get you a couple extra points here in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk fantasy stuff aside. I don't even know where the Penguins go from here. Crosby's still playing in the elite level. He doesn't look like he can actually slow down up anytime soon. He's 36 years old. I mean, the guy is playing like he could play for 4 or 5 more solid seasons. I mean, he's that. Well, he's one of the best of all time. Let's just face it. But the rest of their team and where they're actually going, and the whole Eric Carlson's a nice player, but when you need as much as Pittsburgh does, you don't go out and actually trade for Eric Carlson, who's got just a mega deal out there. I think it's like an $11.5 million contract for a gazillion years as well. That's not what you need. But what I do like the fact that they knew Gensel wasn't going to be back. And so Gensel, they wouldn't be able to lock him up long term. They didn't want him actually to walk, so they get a guy like Michael Bunting. If you remember Bunting, he actually started off. I remember with Toronto. So I say he's a younger guy, but I think he's 27 years old, a little bit of a late bloomer. But he's getting line one, power play one deployment. He comes over from Carolina. He had really, really good. I thought he had pretty good seasons with Carolina. Another good team, but now he's going to go ahead and slide into Gensel's old spot. Going to be right next to Crosby, which is always a real, really good place to be.
It can't be
Seven.
anywhere else,
I
right?
mean,
Right?
I mean, come
It's gotta
on. I
be
mean, that's,
it's like if you're gonna slide me in next to somebody, throw me in next to Sidney Crosby. I'll take that.
yeah, that's right. I mean,
I mean,
7 shots on.
I could get an accidental goal as I stood by the goal and I said, just hit me with a puck and hope it bounces off me and goes in. I'll take that goal.
JT, we could actually fall into goals, and even if hey, we could fall into goals playing next to Crosby, even if we've actually been in our fantasy hockey draft all night long. Okay, so that's how it's going. But he's actually done pretty well since he came over. It's only been 2 games. We got 7 shots on goal, averaging 19 minutes a night on time on ice a night in those 2 games as well. And this is a guy, he's got like 35 or 36 points in like 60 games. So he's almost like that half point per game player, which is a super nice player. But the deployment's all for this. And then this week, he's got Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. But next week, I really, really like. You get a Tuesday, then you get the Friday, Sunday. Those are 2 off nights. So basically, he can really, really fill some gaps there. 6 games. I really like Michael Bunting out of all of the people we've actually talked about so far. He may end up being the best. I would say next to Kyle Palmieri. It's him and Palmieri have actually been the best pickup so far.
To kind of close up the top teams, we got a few left here. A few more teams that we hate talking about just because they've been so bad. But hey,
Let's not talk about him
that's
then.
no, but this is why they're sneaky. This is why we're
Yeah.
talking about them. Is people are ignoring anyone on their team because they're like, that team's terrible. Why would I pick anybody up on that bad team? San Jose Sharks. This is another team. They just traded Hurdle to Vegas. He felt like the last guy you're like, okay, I'm holding on to maybe Hurdle when they get blown out 5-1. Hurdle gets a goal. He's now gone to Vegas. Is there any reason to go grab any from San Jose over the last couple weeks that can give you that little boost?
Yeah, Mikael Granlund, he doesn't shoot the puck at all. Like, doesn't shoot the puck. He's like an Alexander Winberg guy. Remember him, JT Winberg from Columbus? Same type of
Just
player.
out there in
Like,
the mix, but never putting this, never putting a puck on goal ever.
no, all he does is like they skate around for 20, 22 minutes. They get assists. They never shoot. That's what Granlund is. He's been hot of late. 3 goals, 7 assists in the last 10. So he's got 10 points in his last 10 games. Tons of ice time. But on the season, 9 goals, 31 assists. There's your goal to assist differential, whatnot. So, but 38% roster for those leagues that you only have maybe a 10 team league, and let's say you have 3 points for a goal and 2 points for an assist, and just not a bangers league. Granlund's great. He's great, man. He's getting a
He's
line
worth a
one, power
shot,
play one.
right?
He's a top dog. Yeah. Now, if you're on banger formats where you get hits, blocks, and also two where you actually have goals worth 4 and assists only worth 2, he's just run of the mill, right? You got to be desperate and that's just needing to fill a spot. But again, San Jose starting tomorrow and through next week, they got 6 games. So he's worth a guy to look at. Just know it. You got to look at your format to make sure it makes sense. But in the right format, Granlund does make sense for sure. I mean, he's he's their de facto best player. I mean, they went ahead and shipped out Anthony Duclair as well. He's actually now in the Tampa Bay Lightning. So they have nobody else. I mean, so they have Fabian Zetterlund, the young forward. They also got Eklund as well as a young forward as well. They're super young. They're rebuilding. That's what they should have. But Granlund's going to be the one mainstay there, and he's going to be touching the puck a lot. So worth a look.
T minus 19 minutes to get your Oilers Capitals bets in. You got
Yes.
just about 50 minutes for Canucks Avalanche in case you're getting in to these late night bets. We'll we'll
JT and
we'll
your
try to
Blues
at the
Kings
end.
is looking great, dude. Your Blues Kings
It's
looking
looking great right now.
real,
We're gonna
real good.
try to, of course, the one game I avoided in our bet section today was Nashville Winnipeg because I didn't feel great anyway about anything in that game. Nashville currently up 4-0, so I'm glad I avoided that one. We'll recap some bets here at the end. A team that we just kind of talked about that's playing here later, Washington against
Yep.
Edmonton. Who do we like on Washington to kind of hopefully throw us in a couple garbage points finishing up the season here?
First, we love Washington's schedule. So you got Thursday, Saturday, only 2 games the rest of the week. All right, this week. But next week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, 4 games in the off days. Everybody will want to pick them up and stream them next week. Hendricks Lapierre. JT, you'll recognize his name because you and I actually drafted him in our dynasty league 2 years ago, and he was a kid that fell to all the way to 26th in the draft, if I remember right, because he kept having concussions. So we decided, you know what, we won the league, so we had a late draft pick, so we decided to go ahead and take him in the first round, just based on upside there, man, and he has been
High
hot
upside.
lately. This kid's young
Nice.
too. I don't even think he's 20 yet. He's 19 years old. He's playing on line one with Ovechkin, power play one as well with Ovechkin and Carlson, those guys as well. Only 24% rostered in the last 8 games, 5 goals, 3 assists. So 8 points in the last 8 games as well. And here's the deal. Before then, I think he only had 6 points in the previous 24 games because they were only giving him like 7 or 8 minutes of ice time and actually sending him down as well. He's not going back down. The kid will be up here forever. He's not going anywhere. And when he's been here, he's actually taking an advantage, man. So I love this right here, especially with that schedule next week. Go get Lapierre.
Hosts, sneaky play. If you're in a keeper league that lets you keep guys you pick up mid-season and keep them late, this is your guy.
Yeah.
Hendrix
Yep.
Lapierre. Get him now, pick him up, keep him as a last round keeper.
That's right.
When we drafted him, everyone said, hey, this guy's a top 10 pick if it isn't for the injury concerns.
Yes.
Everyone's like, oh, everyone's a little worried about the concussions. This is, everyone's worried, like, is it going to be a Sidney Crosby situation where
What
he's out
hockey
a
player isn't
year
concussed all
or
the
two
time?
with
All
concussions?
right. Yeah.
And we're like, dude, upside is too much to pass up at this point.
Yeah.
We grabbed him late in the draft, killed it. Great pick. He is starting to turn it up. And like you said, young, young, young. I love that move. Lavier, I'm all in on that. So we've got our last 3 teams here for best schedules before we talk about our worst schedules and wrap the show up. Seattle Kraken. Not many games left this week, but again, like you talked about, another nice 4-banger next week. Ready to hit for them.
Yeah. This was a team where I love the schedule. And honestly, JT, I don't really like any of the streamers. I just put a streamer in there because I love the schedule so much. So Thursday, Saturday this week, but then Monday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday. So you got 3 off night games next week as well. Seattle's playing much better. They've actually got on a little bit of a run here. Oliver Borkstrand, he'll get the power play 1 deployment. But again, listeners, Seattle's not, as you guys know, Seattle's not going to light the lamp at will. They're not going to. I mean, even McCann, their big goal scorer, who actually had well over 40 goals last year, he's had a nice season. But it's been more quiet this year. They are not an offensive juggernaut by any means at all. And honestly, too, Brookstrand is still 58% rostered. He's got 16 goals, 29 assists in 63 games this season. But the power play 1 deployment is nice. But here's one I'm just saying. I like the schedule. Look at Seattle, see if you can actually find some of their players. But I'm guessing Borkstrand is probably not out there. That's all that's all I'm going to say about Seattle.
Yeah, let's jump into the Sabres, another disappointing team, a team that most people thought was going to maybe take that next step this year, and they really struggled with injuries early. Some guys got off to really slow starts. Um, I mean, I felt like Darlene was about the only guy crushing it early, and he was like kind of on his own. And so this team has been a little bit disappointing. Is there anybody that some people have either dropped, kind of given up on, or someone you could throw in there if you're like, hey, I need an extra 1 or 2 plays?
Yeah, so right now I am physically going on our home league page right now to see if this player's actually been picked up. He hasn't. I'm not going to worry about anybody in our home league actually listening to this right now, JT. I mean, we're a hidden gem as a podcast right now, but I'm not going to actually claim that all of the people we actually play ever listen to us. So I'm not going to actually worry about it. But Buffalo plays Thursday, Saturday this week, and then Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday of next week. So that's nice for that Monday and Sunday. Bowen Byram, the number 4 pick overall, I think in the 2020 draft. I remember right, 2019, 2020, somewhere around there. Um, he's really, really good. He's actually been very injury riddled throughout his short career with Colorado. Now he actually gets a new chance in the Casey Middlestat trade. It actually sends him to Colorado and Byram actually coming back. I love the blue line of Buffalo. And honestly, I like Buffalo in general. They got so much young talent. It's ridiculous. They're not, it's not their time yet. But I like what they're actually doing here. But Byram actually scored a couple more goals last night in his short period of time with Buffalo. He has been shooting a puck like a maniac, man. I'm looking if nobody's picked him up because I'm like, why haven't I actually picked him up yet? I'll probably pick him up tonight. So, and
Jump on
I
it.
don't, I don't care if I actually screw myself. It's fine. I'm telling all the home league people right now, I'm picking him up tonight. But I'm gonna
They
pick him
better
up.
have waiver wire preference, or
Yep,
you're getting him.
Yep. I mean, so again, look at that schedule next week. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. That's a great schedule. I'm going to go ahead and pick him up there. He's great for Banger League as well. Like most defensemen are, but he's a defenseman that actually hit. He's getting a top power play deployment. Like I said, he's actually shooting a puck. He's feeling almost liberated coming from Colorado. And I know that sounds kind of weird. It's coming from Colorado and you actually feel liberated a little bit because they're so good. And, he's won a cup with them as well. He was actually injured, but now it's his time to shine. And he couldn't have landed in a better place in Buffalo. He's going to do great.
Last team on the solid schedule, maybe pick up if you can list Arizona Coyotes. They don't have quite as good of a schedule as some of these other guys down the list, but who do you think is like, man, I missed out on this guy, I missed out on this guy, I missed out on this guy? Who's a guy you could maybe like, I got to throw something in as a pickup and try to get 1 extra game, maybe 2 extra games?
Yeah, Arizona is just like Columbus, meaning I don't really want to pick anybody up that's going to be available if it wasn't for their schedule. And their schedule is only 5 games in the next 2 weeks, starting tomorrow. But next week is Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. So you got 3 off nights. So that's nice. That's very, very nice, especially if you can pick up a player on Wednesday and stream on Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. I mean, you're going to have a room for him on the roster. I was going to say it was going to be Barrett Hayton. Hayton's actually got line 1, power play 1, playing with Schmaltz, Keller on the power play as well. It's all deployment, 32% rostered, but I don't think he played last night. So yeah, he could actually be a little banged up. It may be the same situation as Columbus, same team, same situation with the injured player that I was actually recommending, just trying to actually find somebody that fit in that nice schedule. So probably going to pass on Barry Hayton now. But if he's out there, it wouldn't be worth it to actually stream. But man, don't.
Go and check the injury, right, Toast? Go check the injury,
Yeah,
but also
just day to
I'm
day.
always a
Yeah,
fan of like if you like a schedule like this and you're like, hey, I've got a guy that's gonna play like the first couple nights of the week, then I'm gonna have a couple open spots like the last few days of the week. Just go to Arizona, look at the roster, see what they
yeah,
got. It might be worth just picking up somebody that's like, depending on if you're in a bangers league, maybe you pick up a defenseman. Maybe you just take a swing at a guy that maybe will get you an assist, something here or there. But when it comes to the playoffs, every one of those points count. They're all there. It matters to have every last one. So maybe you grab a guy just because he's maybe going to give you an option of scoring. It might be not a great pickup or a great play. It might even be a third liner. But if you'd rather have that third liner over not having a guy play. So sometimes if
yeah.
you can't get these top end guys that Toast is talking about, go to those teams and look and see if there's somebody else maybe available.
Yeah, like we said in the playoffs, it's about using all of those moves and getting warm bodies. You have to have people in there because every 2 to 3 points counts. I mean, and I know it sounds very cliche, but it is true, especially in the hockey playoffs. I mean, 3, 4 points. If you can pick up a defenseman and he can get you 7.5 points over 2 games, that's big. That's really, really big. Get a bunch of hits, some blocks, maybe an assist here or there. I will say if you're going to stream anybody from Arizona and it's a category league and you actually count plus minus and that kind of matters for you, you may want to avoid them. You may actually want to avoid them in Columbus as well because they're
Yep.
just been getting pumped by everybody. I mean, the Hawks have been embarrassing them. All right, but then again, the Hawks are just hot right now, man. That power play is on fire. I'm just it's been fun to watch.
Speaking of the Hawks, our buddy Mike chimes back in and says, should the Blackhawks trade for Justin Fields?
You know what? I've heard, Mike, that Justin Fields doesn't have any trade value. I've heard that honestly that nobody in the league thinks he's any good. He's garbage. That they would even sign guys like Gardner Minshew, which I love, by the way, Minshew, but also
Hey,
Drew
Minshew Mania,
Lock. I
baby.
mean, could
Drew
it be
Lock. Talking about all
JT?
my favorite
Yeah,
guys.
JT. Could it be that the entire league thinks Justin Fields is awful?
This is a smokescreen, brother. It's a smokescreen. Not
Exactly.
everybody. This is teams trying to get Justin Fields for cheaper. So, Mike, hold in strong, brother. As a Bears fan, hold in strong. I think it's going to work out
But
for the
JT,
Bears.
if you think about it, you could put Fields like Athanasiu is probably the fastest player on the Bear or on
And
the Blackhawks. But if you put Fields on the other wing and had Bedard in the middle, that'd be pretty good, right? I mean,
if you
so
taught Justin
yeah,
Fields how to ice skate, I think he would
right.
be insanely fast. I think he could be a
And
killer
tough,
hockey
like
player. Sky,
he'd do
yeah.
the dirty work, like he gets right up after a big hit, like he'd get in the corners there and do a lot of the dirty work and stuff. And I, you know what? You may be onto something, Mike.
I like it. So I've been in crazy fantasy football, NFL free agent signing all day. If you haven't seen me, check me out on the X. Go to my X page, JT Orange. I've done like 10 shows in the last like week on
That's not
in
enough.
NFL free agency. So like go ahead and jump into that. We've been talking about that kind constantly. So Toast, to kind of wrap up the show before we hit our final face off, three teams that have been really good. We like the offenses, we like the production, but man, the schedule sucks down the stretch. You look at these teams, if somebody drops a guy and you go, oh my gosh, I can't believe they dropped this guy on this really good team.
Mhm.
Tell us why don't pick that guy up.
Yeah, well, I would say on any of these teams here. So I'm let's just talk about Nashville, Edmonton, and Colorado. Nashville's been extremely hot of late. They're pushing for a playoff spot. We know what Edmonton can actually do, and so Colorado as well. They just don't play any more games this week. All right, they all play on Saturday, but the following week, Nashville only plays Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. That's not very good. That's 3 heavy nights. Edmonton, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, then the Sunday. All right, so you got 3 heavy nights and then the Sunday tacked on. Colorado next week, Tuesday, Friday, Sunday, which is nice. But I would just say this: unless you are pretty darn confident that you're going to go ahead and win your round matchup in the playoffs, I would steer clear of streaming any of these players, especially if you're thinking about streaming them for maybe like a 2 week matchup. Um, Again, unless you actually get to, let's say, Tuesday of next week or Wednesday of next week, you're like, man, I'm up 150 points, and I actually am got the other team, and we're pretty even on starts the rest of the way. Yeah, if somebody's going to get desperate and actually drop somebody off Edmonton or actually drop somebody off Colorado or Nashville as well, go ahead and pounce. That's the time to actually do that. But those are the teams that, if you happen to be going up against those teams that are pretty heavy in those players, or actually have them, that's definitely got to think. That's definitely got to play into your thinking on your likelihood of winning that matchup. All right, so I'm actually going up against a guy who's got plenty of Edmonton players. So that's light for him this week, right? But next week, okay, he's going to have four games, but this week, so I got to maximize this week. I actually got to try to pounce this week, and so anyway, those teams just don't have the ideal schedules, and those are teams that are pretty heavy with players, right? That a lot of teams are actually going to have a lot of their players on their roster, and it's just unfortunate this week they don't have a whole lot of games.
Yeah, Toast, talk about the strategy, because this is one I always like to implore if I can, is if you only have a couple pickups in a week and you've kind of gone through the week, you had a lot of guys play, jumping in on a Saturday or Sunday, maybe not to get pickups for that week, but to set yourself up for the next week. These are what we're kind of talking about with those heavy 4 or 5 game teams. Teams that are playing four games next week, the off nights. If you've got the roster space, if you've got the pickups available, jump in there on Saturday or Sunday. Use pick your if you don't haven't maxed out your picks this week, pick up 1 or 2 of those guys going into next week so you can maximize the value next week as well.
All I'm going to
Correct?
say, yes, 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 100% JT. All I'm going to say is this: I don't care what type of lead you have in a fantasy hockey playoffs. If you don't use all of your moves, you are not doing yourself a favor. So I don't care if you're actually up in the semifinals and you're going to win by 175 points. If you got 4 moves left on it, you need to use those 4. You need to be planning for the next 2 weeks. And
Mhm.
if you don't, you're just not gonna. You're probably not gonna win. I mean, put it this way: I should say you probably shouldn't win. Your percentage of actually winning is going to go down. That's what you have to do. So yeah, don't you got to use every single one of your moves in the hockey playoffs. No different than it was actually basketball, or even if it was baseball as well, right? Probably the same.
Yep.
You got to use your moves or whatever, and stream a goal if you have to, right? I mean, especially saves if you can get ahead of moves heading into your matchup and actually feel really, really good about your forwards and your defensemen and stuff like that. Then you can say, all right, now I still have all of my other moves. You can have one streaming position, and you can actually stream a goalie every single day if it allows that, right? And goalies, depending on the format, can score a lot. Again, it all depends on the scoring. So, and I know in our league, goalies that are held in high regard. They actually score quite a bit. We actually want to make them valuable. So definitely use your moves. That's all I can actually say to the people that actually have never played in the fantasy playoffs before. Do not eat those.
Toast, it is time for our
It's time
final
for
face
Oilers.
off. Final face off. Oilers. Throw your Oilers bet real quick. We're taking Oilers money line. Oilers over 2.5 goals. And we're taking McDavid assist or points.
Points, 2.
Oh, over 1.5 points. Jump that in, throw that sucker in immediately. Get that in.
And the money line.
Uh, and the money line and over 2.5 team goals. Jump in
Yes.
that 3 pick same game parlay. Also a nice Avalanche Canucks matchup here in 30 minutes. Jump
Yes.
on that.
Get on that.
I've told everyone I've got that 5 pick parlay in there right now. Don't feel like you got to take all that. Pick and choose. Grab a couple. If you
Yep.
want to take 2, take 3. Also, me and Toast talked about it earlier in the show. Throw the one guy I didn't have in my JT parlay play of the day was Ratnan, over an assist. You could take him with McKinnon over 1.5 points. That will be a nice little play with you. You
right
can
there.
even throw
Yeah.
a Quinn Hughes assist in there. I like a Quinn Hughes assist for Vancouver. So that'd be a nice little 3-pick parlay if you don't want to go with the big dog plus 1100 that I put in. Totally fine. Toast. Let everybody know where we can find you. We're right at that hour mark. We're going to get out of here so we can watch some hockey.
Yep, yeah, they can find me on the X at Toast Clark. And again, make sure to listen to JT and I every Wednesday night on the Stew with JT Brew, presented by Total Apex Sports. And again, I know we've been a little lazy on the articles of late. I've been in my busy season, doing other
Yeah,
things.
we got behind, but we're
Um,
going to get back into it.
we'll
We're
get
going to
we'll
get
get
back
back
in that
into it,
mix.
but find me there and then find JT. Like I said, at JT Orange. You can definitely shoot us both emails as well. It's a toastman80 at yahoo.com. Shoot me an email, and JT, go ahead and share your email, and I can say we
Yeah, you
can
can hit
send
me
these
up.
listeners off.
Yeah, hit me up at jtorange4 at gmail.com. Like I said, you can check out our articles on Total Apex Sports, bets.com. If you're looking
Bets.
for fantasy action, not bets, go to Total Apex Sports Fantasy.com. That's where we have some more fantasy articles that we throw out there. Always check us out every Wednesday night. We're on somewhere between 8 and 10 o'clock. We
Yep.
adjust on the schedule, but we're Wednesday nights for sure. Thanks for joining us for Toast. I'm JT. Thanks for listening to the Stew with JT Brew here on Total Apex Sports. We'll check you next time.